Have you ever noticed that some men don't seem to try at all, and yet women are just drawn to them like a magnet? Not because they're loud, not because they're showing off. In fact, these men are quiet, unassuming. But when they disappear, when they pull back just enough, something happens. Suddenly, she's thinking about him, wondering, reaching out, obsessing even. This isn't a game. It's not manipulation. It's something deeper, something psychological. It's the quiet power of presence, followed by absence. And in today's conversation, I want to show you something that most men never understand. Something powerful that's running beneath the surface of attraction. It's the way some men vanish, not to play hard to get, but to reclaim their value. And when a man knows how to do this with intention, with authenticity, and with strength, women notice strongly. But first, let's start with a feeling you've probably experienced. You meet someone. There's a spark, maybe a text, maybe a date. Everything seems to be going well, but then you get caught up. You start reaching out too much. You feel the urge to be available constantly, to reply instantly, to make sure she knows you're interested. And the more you do that, the more she seems to pull away. Why does that happen? It happens because we confuse attention with connection. We think more presence means more attraction. But in truth, constant presence without mystery, without space, slowly drains desire. Here's where it gets interesting. Women are not attracted to men because they're always there. They're attracted to the man whose presence leaves an imprint, the man who gives her something to miss. And that's what the man who disappears like this understands. He doesn't vanish because he's careless. He disappears because he understands timing. He understands energy. And most importantly, he understands value. There's a psychological phenomenon known as uncertainty. When we're unsure of how someone feels, we pay more attention to them. We think about them more. We obsess over little things. And while some might say that's manipulation, it's actually just how our minds work. Think about it. If you knew exactly what a person would do, say, or feel all the time, how long before you stop being curious about them? Now, the man who disappears with power knows this. He knows that attraction lives in the unknown. He doesn't ghost. He doesn't vanish out of fear or insecurity. No, he retreats intentionally, calmly, like a man who knows that he has nothing to prove. He's not pulling away to make her chase. He's stepping back to stay aligned with himself, to stay grounded in his mission, his focus, his truth. And that is magnetic, because when a man is fully consumed by a woman, when he loses his balance, she feels it. She feels that pressure, that need, and need kills mystery. It kills desire. But the man who's centered, the man who can walk away, not out of punishment but out of peace, that man is rare, and rare is attractive. Here's something else that most guys never realize. Women are deeply intuitive. They can feel the difference between a man who pulls away because he's playing games and the man who simply doesn't chase. She knows when a man's silence is cold, but she also knows when his silence is strong, when he steps back not to punish, but to protect his energy, his purpose, his mental space. And when she senses that, it pulls her in, because now he's not available on demand. He's not always ready with a reply. He's not dropping everything for her. And suddenly she starts wondering, where is he? Why hasn't he messaged? Is he thinking about me? And that wondering, that's where desire grows. Let's get this straight, though. This isn't about disappearing just to make her miss you. It's not about manipulation. It's about respect. Respect for your time, your energy, your purpose. When a man lives with direction, when he's on a mission, that comes first. And she will feel that. Women are attracted to men who have somewhere to be, something to build, something bigger than the relationship itself. So when a man disappears like this, quietly, respectfully, without drama, it creates a space that she can feel. It makes her lean in. But most men don't do this. Most men chase. They double text. They seek constant reassurance. They try to secure her interest with words, attention, presence. And unknowingly, they smother the very attraction they're trying to grow. The man who disappears like this doesn't need to secure her. He secures himself. This doesn't mean you ignore her. This doesn't mean you're cold. It means you're in control of your energy. You know how to give and when to hold back. You show up with full presence when you're there, and you disappear with grace when it's time to retreat. And let me tell you something powerful. When you master this rhythm, you don't chase anymore. You attract. Women will start to feel something around you, a calm energy, a depth. They'll feel safe and intrigued because they can't quite figure you out. And that is where desire lives. We often talk about masculine energy, about leadership, strength, purpose, but the truth is, sometimes the most powerful move a man can make is to step back, to pause, to be okay with silence. Most men rush to fill the space. The man we're talking about creates it. He gives her something to feel, something to wonder about. And that space, that absence, it speaks louder than words. Now, here's the twist. When you disappear like this, not from insecurity, but from inner strength, you start to notice something shift. Women begin to value your time more. They listen more carefully. They lean in, not because you're forcing it, but because you're no longer trying to convince them. You become the man who is desired, not because you said the right thing, but because you moved in the right rhythm. And that rhythm, it's not taught in schools. It's not in pickup lines or dating hacks. It's something deeper, something primal, something timeless. When a man knows how to show up fully and then disappear with power, he becomes unforgettable. He's not begging for attention. He's not competing. He's not proving anything. He knows who he is. And when he leaves the room, she feels it. When he goes quiet, she remembers him. When he's gone, she wants him more. And that is the quiet power of disappearance. It's not avoidance. It's not rejection. It's not manipulation. It's confidence. It's boundaries. It's depth. So here's what I want you to remember. You don't need to chase. You don't need to over-explain. You don't need to be constantly available. You just need to know when to lean in and when to lean back, when to speak, and when to let silence say everything. And when you disappear like this, not out of fear, but out of grounded strength, she won't be able to ignore it. She'll feel it. She'll remember you. And most importantly, she'll respect you. Because you weren't afraid to be absent. You weren't afraid to let her wonder. You weren't afraid to be missed. And that, my friend, is the difference between the man she forgets and the one she can't stop thinking about.